We're going live.
Oh wow, you made it work.
Well, not 100% yet, but we're trying. We should be live here any second. We are live. Welcome to the morning show, Joe Tolle. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Had a productive day yesterday. Got out, did some filming, and I got a bike to watch later and a video to premiere. But yeah, it's good to be busy and put out some new ATV content. It's been a while since we've been pumping some videos out on the ATV channel.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great that you're out there busy and getting it all done. Our view has changed a little bit based on I don't know what, but we've had a lot of technical difficulties this morning. So we're sorry that we're late. We'd just like to really thank GBC for the amazing support they give us throughout the years, allowing us to bring these shows to you. And Joe Tully from ATV On Demand is always there, willing to help us in his Honda apparel, promoting one of the greatest companies of all time. But we won't go there today. Also, Elka Suspension is a huge contributor to ATV-TALK as well as GBC, and we want to make sure that the two leaders in the industry are praised. And make sure when you're out shopping, think of Elka and GBC. They'll definitely take care of you. Don't forget, DBR Racing has a lot of little gadgets, ECU holders. They make skid plates and many other items for your ATVs. So go check those guys out at DBR Racing as well. Joe Tully, it's our final show of the year, and I would call it a Christmas edition. But we will talk about the gift that we can give year round later. You have a test coming, a video coming out later today, and I really am interested in this. Is this a race comparison machines, or are we just testing off the showroom recreational machines that we can go ride in many different environments?
No, we're this is today's video. We're gonna premiere at noon, which will be overlapping just a little bit, whatever. We just wrapped up a test on the 24 Outlander 1000 RXTP Can-Am for those who don't know. That machine, we actually, full disclosure, we got a machine late 23. It was updated for 23. For 24, they did a little colorway change, but other than that, the last round of mechanical updates was last year. So we tested our machine as a 24 since it was so close to 24s, for algorithm and whatnot. But all the mechanics are still current, so it's as good as a 24 unless you want silver instead of black. So there you go. But this machine, it's Can-Am's top of the line 4x4, or one of their top of the line 4x4s. They have a lot of unique packages. The 1000 Rotax in the 4x4 platform is available in their XT trim, the XTP trim, which we have, which adds a few more. It adds beadlock wheels, QS3 shocks from Fox, which are a really nice upgrade. More of a full wrap hand guard. It's and then from there, from the XTP, you go to the XXC, which is more of a full fendered high performance sport utility 4x4, not the Renegade. This one still has a rear rack and bigger fenders. Probably the one that, if you have no interest in working, but you just want to go climb crazy hills and things like that, but you still want full fender protection, that's probably the one for you. Has a rear rack. And then, of course, there's the Renegade, which is a rack-free machine. It's a pure sport 4x4. We really like the XTP model just because of its versatility. It's got full racks front and rear. It's got a hitch. And with the QS3 shocks and all that, it's kind of that perfect midpoint between I can still do all the work with this thing and maybe more than just about any other 4x4 on the market, but yet at the same time you can go out and grab a handful and in your mind feel like you're a GNCC racer, or heck, you could probably race it if you wanted to. I don't see why you couldn't. This machine, yeah, sorry,
can I
go ahead.
interrupt for a second?
Sure.
What's the weight of these machines, comparison? So like if I'm out on the property working and let's say I got to pull some post holes, can I connect a winch to it? And are they heavy enough to allow me to pull these stumps out of the ground without the machines sliding forward or so on and so forth?
And actually, this machine comes with a winch from the factory with controls on the handlebars. Yeah, I mean, you could do a lot of work with it. Your typical, and that's one thing where from a 400cc to a 1000cc machine, let's go 450. From a 450 4x4 to a 1000cc 4x4, you usually run out of weight to give you grip before you run out of horsepower. But this machine is in the 800-pound range. I'm not sure the exact number off the top of my head. That's in the video, of course. But it's a couple 100 pounds heavier than your typical single cylinder Japanese 4x4. So yeah, you're going to get a little bit more grip for winching or towing. It'll make a small difference.
Is the overall width wider, giving the user in the work environment a better control of the machine? What I'm trying to get at is, you pack it down with some weight on the racks, and maybe you have a trailer on the hitch. How much more stability does it give? I know that you guys probably didn't run it through those kind of tests, but you have a better idea than me because you've obviously ridden them.
We didn't do those kind of tests for this evaluation of the machine, but we did a 1000cc 4x4 sport utility shootout a couple of years ago, which is still, the only reason we're not redoing it is because the machines haven't changed enough. The Can-Am back in the shootout won a lot of the categories. And to answer your question is, either the Can-Am 1000 or the Sportsman 1000, they're both in that 48-inch wide range. Yamaha has went there too with the Grizzly 700. Used to be typically, if you look at like the King Quad 750 or the Brute Force 750, which is temporarily not on the market. Not sure if it's coming back or not. We kind of think it is, but we don't know. It's pure speculation, but those bikes are about 46 inches wide, the King Quad and the Brute Force. They never really moved to the modern 48-inch width, which is where Polaris went first, and then Yamaha and Can-Am. So, it's truly a modern handling sub 50-inch wide 4x4. And then in our shootout, when we loaded it down, because out of the box, Polaris doesn't offer, unfortunately, they don't offer kind of a souped up version of the Sportsman 1000. They'll sell you like a front and rear bumper or a brush guard. It's not as rigid as the Can-Am, so I wouldn't call it a bumper. I'd call it a brush guard. And you can get that with ride command, which the Can-Am doesn't have. But the suspension out of the box is very plush. Nice for an 8-hour trail ride at Hatfield McCoy, but yeah, when you load the Polaris down, the Can-Am does better with the weight when you put that on top of the racks because it has a little firmer suspension settings, and especially with the XTP model, which is kind of a little bit of a edge that the Can-Am has, you can just crank the preload to the stiffest setting, which helps fight body roll a little bit and keeps it through blowing through the travel when you're going through dips in the trail when you're loading it down. We broke the rules. I think when we tested a couple of years ago, I want to say we did like 200 pounds of concrete on the front racks and 300 on the rear. So I think we actually exceeded the rack capacity a bit, and the Can-Am did a really good job of dealing with it. I don't think a deer would be a big problem.
Nice. So you were looking for the recreational user that's going to use it not only to work his property, but he's going to take it hunting and bring in that, impressive once in a lifetime buck that not all of us ever get a chance to.
Yeah,
That's
100%, 100%. Because, we know that, the big 1000s, unless you go with like a scrambler Polaris, which is a different animal, it's 55 inches wide. But, if you're going with a sport utility machine, something that has racks and a hitch, we know that at some point people are going to take advantage of that. We're motorheads, and we don't typically do a lot of work around our property with ATVs because I live in a subdivision. So we don't live on a farm, but we know lots of people who buy them, use them to do work. And, they're great to have when we're moving trailers, even around here. It's like right now I have no 4x4s in the fleet, and I'm like wishing I had something with a hitch. So yeah, when we evaluate sport utilities, especially if we're going to do a shootout, we have to look at the work aspect, because we know there's a lot of guys out there that have to use that work aspect as an excuse to justify it to the wife. So, we want to make sure they can verbalize the capability.
How easy is it to camo one out? So if we're going to go take it on a hunt, it's not, bright colored and scaring off the deer or the elk, whatever we're going for.
Well, the XTP version we have, I don't believe you can get that in a camo version. I want to say that I believe you can get the XT package in a camo version. But don't hold me to it, because I didn't shop for that. But to take this machine and make it camo, this thing has, bright bumpers on it, like bright yellow orange bumpers. So yeah, you're less likely to get shot, but the deer might see you a little easier with a machine that
That's too funny. But over and all, even if you wanted to just go sport trail ride, these machines are more than capable.
Oh yeah. And if you're leaning, I would say just not to discredit all the information that's in it, but we're not discredit, but just overlook it. Basically, if you're looking to go fast and you want to feel like a racer, the Can-Am is the machine of the two. If you want a big 1000 that delivers the power very gently and it's super plush and it's super comfortable, yeah, that's where Polaris really shines. The Can-Am is for the guy who, like, I'm going to go out and I want to hammer and I want to be able to use as much of the horsepower as I can, and I want it to feel like a 1000, and I want it to be snotty. That's the Outlander, and it's definitely I would say the more fun of the two machines in stock trim for that. We spent a lot of money on a Sportsman to bring it up to the level of that Can-Am XTP as far as pure performance. And the videos out there, if Polaris wants to pay attention and give us a slightly sportier version of the Sportsman 1000, which would probably be very well received by the market.
You're breaking my heart here. You know that? You're
Why's
just
that?
pushing all my hopes and dreams. Well, because I don't really want to go buy a Polaris, and you're telling me that for my old broken body, that riding the Polaris is going to be more what I'm going to be in tune for the plush, comfortable ride with the easy acceleration. That's kind of, it's kind of the way I build my sport quads, so they don't rip your arms out of the socket when you come out of the hole. The suspension's plush, so that my body can handle the aggressive or more aggressive riding. And it sounds like that's where the Polaris is going to be at.
I would have to say, yeah. I don't even.
Yeah, but now you've crushed all my hopes and dreams, because I didn't ever want to have to go buy a Polaris.
Sorry.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate the love and concern there, man. But you watch the professional guys, Brandon Frazier and Landon Wolf and Cody. These guys are phenomenally fast on their Can-Ams. It is unbelievable to me.
All you have to do really to know, which of the 1000s on the market has the most capability for speed. Now, of course, we're kind of excluding Polaris's 55-inch models, the Sportsman S and the Scrambler S, because those are too wide for cross-country racing. 55 inches wide. You're not getting that through a GNCC course. So if you're looking to go trail riding and you ride some tight trails, there's still some out there that haven't been destroyed by side-by-sides yet. Sorry, side-by-side people. The Can-Am, just look at it in racing. That's what everybody's on. You still have a couple guys that are holding out that are racing the Sportsmans because they want to be different, or they already had developed a program for the Polarises. But, just look at what the cross-country guys are racing. They're racing Can-Ams. So.
Yeah, and their videos are incredible. Those machines are really fine-tuned, and nothing that I would expect, coming from the sport quad guy side, where we're building mostly 450s, some of the 700 stuff, those 4x4 quads, those guys don't get enough praise or, enough fan base, in my opinion, because if you watch their videos, they're working just as hard and going just as fast as your lead XC1 Pro guys. Maybe not as fast as them, but for the machine they're riding, they sure are.
Oh yeah, I mean it's those things are 800 pounds, and they're adding. They're adding weight to them. I would imagine, because they're going in. Most of those guys that are racing at a high level in the woods, they're doing full tear downs, gusseting the frames. They're adding material to strengthen them up for the beating they put them through. So, those guys are on 800-pound quads. They're going really fast, compared to guys on 450s, sport quads that weigh 400 pounds. So,
yeah, when you talk to Cody Collier or Brandon Frazier, or DeRisi, when they're talking about their race builds, you can never get those guys to give you any tips. Never does it slip.
Huh.
It's crazy. I ask about clutch upgrades, and I ask about any of the other stuff. They zip nothing. No, nobody's giving out the secrets to help make those machines faster. But that's neither here nor there. We still enjoy watching them and respect what they do. I want to shift gears on you a little bit, Joe. I will hope in January, when we get together, you'll be able to tell me how this video went and how the test reviewed in the general public. Do you, not to change the subject, do you guys do any polling with your viewer base to find out, which machine they like the best, so that you can have a more of an accurate deal for the manufacturers?
It's always a balancing act. We don't necessarily poll our viewers because, if you get 50 responses, I don't think that is indicative of the overall audience. YouTube is so stingy with, sorry, YouTube, if you're listening, but, we have 76,000 subscribers. So you would think whenever we put up a video that at least a third of our audience would show up immediately. But then you go and you check on the back end, and it's like ton coming from suggestion, a decent amount coming from subscribers. And it's because YouTube doesn't really give your videos out to all your subscribers. That's one thing in social media that I have a hard time with. I think it's bullshit. If I follow somebody, I want to see what they put out. I don't want you to, and this is for me as a consumer, not just a publisher. I want to be given the videos and the posts from the people that I follow because I care about what they do. Social media doesn't think that that's the best way for them to make money, so they'll test you to a small sample of your audience. The way that we kind of figure out what people want so we can go back and express it to the manufacturers is just through viewership. Some things we put up, tests always do pretty well. And then you have machines where it's like you can go back and look and see the results. Like Sportsman 1000 has always been a really strong machine for us whenever we review it as a stock machine. Now, when we build it, it doesn't typically perform quite as well. Polarises don't do as good on the ATV side under an extreme build format, typically, when you put it out there. Haven't tried it with the Can-Am, but yeah, we look at viewership, we look at interaction as far as comments, what the people are saying. So we get a lot of good data. You know, we can see what age is watching, where they're watching from, what percentage of the audience. So YouTube's really good about giving us a lot of data to look at our channel as a whole, or to look on it on a video per video basis to see like, what kind of machine does better? What's the best time of year to publish content, or what type of content? And, you know, after doing this for 20 years, I've got, well, 19, I don't want to age myself anymore. We get a good feel. We have a lot of analytical data that we use to kind of talk to the manufacturers, as far as what we want to do, what we think they should be doing. And then just looking at things that we try and evaluating, like, do people like this kind of content? So maybe we'll produce more of it. And if they don't, we'll produce less of it.
Right. That's pretty awesome stuff right there. Don't give any of your secrets away, because we don't want your competitors to know this. But I want to shift gears on you.
We're not scared.
Good, good. I want to shift gears a little bit on you here and transition into something that you and I have talked a lot about. Your advice that you've given us is invaluable, because of your expertise and the time in the industry. But on December 12th, we dropped an ATC video and a story. I don't necessarily call it a video. It's more of a story about the modern day conversion three-wheelers and the three-wheelers that of yesteryear that came out in the 80s. And with your tutelage, I know that part 2 of that video will be much different. But we have had overwhelming response to it, quadrupling any movement we've had on anything else, as well as our subscriber base has actually jumped quite a bit, and it continues to grow. And I believe that a lot of this, I need to thank Valeria for her hard work and effort, and I need to thank you, Joe, for helping teach us how to make these things grow. And I would really like your opinion of the story that we put out, and let the people know what another professional in the industry thinks of what we're doing.
Well, you know, I'm a three-wheeler guy. Well, I wouldn't say I'm a three-wheeler guy, but I dig them. So, and it was neat to, you know, see the history of where they were in the 80s and kind of where they've come today. And there's a lot of different guys out there that are doing it different. And that's one thing that's kind of unique about it is, and I think your video kind of captured that. And it was neat to see it all under one roof. Like, because I think you had 2 vintage 250Rs in your video, if I recall. There was one with a white tank, and there was one that was black and red.
Yes.
And, you know, it was neat to see what the guys were doing with the vintage, you know, the vintage machines. And then, you know, BVC is a company we've seen a lot of on social media. They've been very quiet. I'm surprised they haven't reached out to the media more to test their machines, but they haven't. But I know that you had several builders there and guys who were involved with that. Please forgive me if I don't remember everyone's name. But, you know, TPC was in there. Dave Wiley was in there. Was it Dave Wiley that had the blue and white Yamaha?
No, that was Rangel Gubler from GoobTech.
GoobTech. Okay, so excuse me, but it was neat to see, you know, the ways in the bikes that the different builders went about achieving the end result. And I haven't seen all that in one place before, which kind of makes it cool. You know, it's a long video. watch 90% of it and listen to the other 10% while I was sitting here doing some stuff. But, you know, I haven't seen anywhere else where if you want to see the different ways to do it, from vintage machines, which there were, you know, two 250Rs, there was a 350X, which is very popular, you know, several dirt bike conversions, and then obviously the TPC is a quad conversion. It was really cool to see that the different ways that these guys go about, you know, constructing what the government won't let manufacturers build. Just fight the power. I enjoyed it.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to get those guys together. When we started this, it was not a gosh, how would you explain it? The tides were not comfortable or welcoming. The more we talked about it, the more we reached out. The differences that everybody had became less of a difference and more of a promotion for three-wheelers. And everybody really realized when we got there, it was just all about the three-wheelers. It wasn't about, you know, who built this or who built that. It was just about, hey, we're here for three-wheelers, you know, and the development of the industry. It's small. There's a West Coast version and an East Coast version. So if any of the East Coast guys are watching or listening, please reach out, because we know that you're building things and we know that you're developing things, and we're not seeing them on the West Coast. And it's almost like the communication lines are broken, or they're afraid to reach out to the West Coast. I'm not understanding it. It's just a little bit different dynamic. I guess we'll figure it out in the time to come. But Mike Coe and Steve Wright showed huge enthusiasm about wanting to be involved next time. Jimmy White told us to reach out to him when we go to Arizona again, so that he can be involved, because his whole career and everybody that knows him came from three-wheelers. You know, I mean, this is huge for the history of our sport and where it comes from. A lot of the young guys look at three-wheelers and don't even know what they are. Don't even realize that three-wheelers started the industry that they're in today.
Well, I'll tell you, we took a couple three-wheelers up to Briarcliff a couple months ago, because I've had this 200X project that's been in the works for like 7 years. That there's still a few people on YouTube that are so persistent. They're still like, hey, so when's that video coming out? And they're not even trying to antagonize me. They're just sincerely, they want to see it. So, you know, it'll drop soon. But it was neat to be up there, and it didn't matter if they were dirt bike guys or quad guys. We were sitting there in the pits and just, you know, doing our thing, and guys ride by and they'd be like, those are sick, man. And they'd stop and stare, because you don't see them often. They're such a great conversation piece, and people's attitude, you know, nobody looks at them, at least that, you know, have expressed it to us. Nobody looks at them and be like, those are stupid. No, it's always like, I think they look at you like you're kind of a wild man for being out there with three-wheelers, because there's that whole like stigma around them. So yeah, it's fun to show up at a track with a three-wheeler. If you're not a top pro in 2 or 4 wheels and you're there with a three-wheeler, yeah, you're gonna draw almost as much attention. It's pretty neat, and they're a lot of fun to ride, of course. So
yeah, I hadn't ridden in environment in 30 years. Okay, I hadn't been on a three-wheeler out in the rough for 30 years, and jumped on that first machine, and I was a little scared at first. The handling characteristics of the aftermarket machines, especially the TPC and Wrangler's bike, were unbelievably comfortable. I mean, far beyond.
I was gonna say, I could tell that you definitely liked some of them, and like you could tell that you were genuinely impressed with a few of the bikes, and then other bikes I didn't hear you say hardly anything about as far as a review of riding, and I was like, oh, then he must not have liked that one quite as much.
Well, but one of the things that you know, I mean, to be clear, Joe, just to be clear, sometimes if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And that's the stance that I took with a couple of the machines because they were not comfortable for me, and it might have been me. And I wanted to put that. I wanted to, put that across that, hey, this might be me. But when the consensus was, two or three of the other guys rode the same machine that day and came back and said the same thing I did, there was an issue there. And we didn't, I don't want to call a company out based on one machine that I rode. And the 86 250R, 85, 86, they're great machines depending on how you put them together. Some people do this, some people do that. After riding the two big four strokes, the TPC conversion and Wrangler's bike, everything else paled in comparison.
Do you think now, obviously you've ridden some really nice 250Rs. I mean, because you guys go back to the Marty Hart days, but do you think that the 250Rs was just an issue? It was because, let's be honest, it's not taking anything away from the builders who built them. I used to be a big Damon Bradshaw fan back in the early 90s when I had hair. I even had his haircut. That's how much I like the guy. And, I remember.
Did you have a man crush?
Well, I wouldn't call it that. It was more like, an idol, kind of like.
Jill had a man crush. Wow.
Hey, Damon, if you're watching, I'm just saying you were my favorite. I was very disappointed that you didn't capture that 250 Supercross championship. But yeah, thanks for the memories. But I remember when Dirt Bike tested his factory Yamaha YZ250, and they talked about things like the handlebar angle, like the way he liked to roll his handlebars just was weird to them. Just little things that you could tell made it hard for them to get comfortable on that bike, even though he did really well on that bike. So it's kind of like a deal where, it may not be the right setup for you or not, but did you feel like during your riding of the different machines, like how the 250Rs kind of like didn't jive with you quite as well as a couple of the modern hybrids? Do you think that was more of a just those guys setting their bike up for them, for their taste? Or do you think it was just that the modern stuff is just better?
The traditional 250R guys are not going to like this.
I do. I'm going to like it.
I didn't like the ergonomics on the 250R as much as I did the modern day conversions. The 250R, I'm not a big man. I'm fat. Okay, I got that, guys. Be quiet in the peanut gallery over there. But the ergonomics and just the way that I sat on it, the 250Rs felt too small. When I got on the 350X, it felt a little bigger. The 350X was actually really fun to ride. Power was freaking, it was a little slow, but it wasn't slow. It just didn't have that snap acceleration that the bigger four strokes that I rode earlier in the day had. But fun. It was drift through the turns, took all the bumps well. I mean, it was just fun. It was just fast enough just to get the hair standing up on the back of your neck just a little bit, but you just had a great time riding it. You weren't ever overly excited. You didn't get out of shape. Just a lot of great fun. The 250R, I think the two-stroke vibration for my body is not healthy because it just wasn't fun. It was too tiny. It didn't drift the way I wanted it to. Portion of that is set up, has nothing against the machine itself, more just the controls were in a different place. I wanted twist throttles on all of them, and more than half of them had thumb throttles. And that's okay. I can still ride with the thumb throttle. I don't like it, but I can still do it. The difference between the big four strokes, the aftermarket machines, are the suspension handled everything way better. You could hit the big bumps much faster. They didn't tip the same way. They landed level. They jumped level. And no, I didn't get big air because that's not me, guys. Just in my little world, um, I kept made sure to keep it in the realm of what I felt comfortable doing. And I know that some people probably would say, well, you didn't ride it hard enough. Well, I rode it hard enough for me. And they were still fun. They were super controllable. We talk about power delivery. Everything's about power delivery. I rode two totally different machines with two totally different engines, set up totally different. And the power delivery was super moderate for, yes, they accelerated quickly, get you from point A to point B very fast, but comfortable acceleration, not snap your arms back, wheel dirt flying everywhere, out of control. These things just like a rheostat, you just roll the throttle on and they accelerated and made it so that you even felt even more comfortable. I think that if the consumer base is going to buy or build themselves three-wheelers, these are the angles and these are the people that you need to talk to about building yourself this modern day three-wheeler, because they're a lot of fun to ride. And stability and safety is everything. We talk about this all the time, right, Joe? About make sure you wear your proper gear, make sure that special shout out to Fly. They provided a helmet and riding gear for me. And it was all extra outstanding stuff. So super shout out to Fly. The helmet was super light and just comfortable to wear, instant comfortable. And I'm picky about how my helmets fit because I've had a head injury, and the helmet fit outstanding. It was good quality stuff. So if you're looking for riding gear or quality of product, you can reach out to Fly, and I'm sure that they'll take care of you. Not to give them a free plug or anything.
I will give them a free plug. We've worked with Fly a good amount through the years, and we've even had to go to them a couple times when there was something coming up that we couldn't talk about, and just tell them, look, guys, we're about to go ride something, and I can't tell you what, and I can't tell you where, but I can tell you that it's going to be big, and you're going to want your gear in it. And Fly cares enough to support it. Fly cares enough to try to take care of the media and make us look good. And and it's not so much like, I'm not sitting here asking people like, oh, support Fly Racing because they, occasionally send us a set of gear for an ATV test video. I'm saying, and they don't sponsor ATV on demand. They've never spent a dime with us other than sending us some gear for some fresh tests to make sure that we look professional and our riders were safe. So all I can say is, as far as buying Fly's gear, is number one, they make some nice gear. Their helmets, very nice. They have some leading technology in their helmets. They're very light, and they care about ATVs. Like, when I was, as a consumer, when I'm buying gear, I would rather buy from gear lines that will support ATV racing, support ATV riders. Like, who does Fox sponsor? Fly Racing sponsors a number of ATV racers. And so, buy from the company that cares about your sport. Don't buy from companies that don't care about your sport. And that's all I have to say about that.
Right. I agree. And they were outstanding for us. And everything. We were supposed to do the shoot in May, and unfortunately I had some family issues come up and we couldn't go. And they hung in there with us, and we're okay with it. We got it done in 2023 like we promised, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of learning experience. I know that based on the conversations that I've had with you and Valeria, we will make changes in version 2 or the volume 2 of this story, because it continues, and we'll make it even better, and I think that it'll be more enjoyable for the consumer. But Joe, let's talk about the most important portion of what this show is about. I gave you a little task yesterday or the day before.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, your top five pick, man. Your top five pick for the year. What do you think the top five gifts are that you should be looking at for the consumer base for your ATV sport guys?
Boy, I failed. I failed. So I'm gonna have to wing this.
All right, I love it. I did my homework and you didn't.
I didn't, and I apologize. We talked and I was fired up about it. I was like, yeah, I gotta go do that. And then I had a Raptor 700 test to get ready for yesterday because we just went and shot a 2024 Raptor. So excuse me. We had a nice day yesterday. It was 55 in Cincinnati and it didn't rain for the week. So the bike is still brown. Doesn't matter. But with that being said, gifts. Top five. Well, not necessarily in any given order. I'll throw these out. Maxima SC1. Everybody loves it. It's an aerosol spray. It's like a silicone spray, high gloss. It smells nice. If you've got those black rough, pieces of plastic on your quad where it's like they get boot rubs on them, and no matter how much you scrub it, you just can't get it to come clean. Spray it down with some SC1, wipe it down, turns it all nice and pretty and black again. So we use it on our cars. Our personal cars got a faded bumper plastic. You can use it on there. I've sprayed my power washer down with it because it looked faded. Works on boots. So anyway, it's versatile. People like the smell of it. You can't go wrong with SC1. So that's on my list. If you have a racer in your family, and this is a good one to stress. If you have a racer or a rider in your family, and that like they fell off their machine at some point this year, last weekend, last month, if they fell and they banged their head, and they're like, "Oh, thank God I had this helmet on because I banged my head," that helmet should be replaced. Helmets are a one-use deal. Once you crash in a helmet, if you bump your head, it's time to replace the helmet. Unless it's just really gentle. If you feel like that helmet was of any benefit in preventing you from getting a head ringer, it's time to replace the helmet because the foam is compressed. So, back to fly racing. They've got a bunch of helmets from a couple $100 to $700. What's your budget? You don't have to spend $700. You should always have a new helmet if you crash. There's two, three, exhaust system, maybe. I know that somebody's got a bike, it's corked up. First, maybe we want to leave it like that. Exhaust system is always a good one. That's a week number 3. Work stand. Something that, like, if you've got somebody in your family, they work on their 4-wheeler, it's nice to be able to get them off the ground, get them up a little higher to where you can work on them. And I'm not talking necessarily like a lift, whether it's a jack stand where you can just kind of pump the quad up, get it off the ground for changing tires, wheels. One thing that we use here a lot, just because they're simple, they're not that expensive. We've got a few Yamaha dirt bike shop stands. They're not that expensive. Great for working on the quad, changing tires, looping your chain, anything where you just want to get it off the ground to work on stuff. What am I on 4? I'm on 4 now. Number 5. Buy a subscription to Dirt Wheels magazine for someone you love. How's that? I still like the print magazines a lot. Growing up, going to school, my backpacks were half full of high torque magazines and half full of textbooks. Maybe I wasn't quite as focused in school as I should have been, but we all have dreams. So still like what those guys are doing. It's really cool when you get a print magazine that comes to your house every month because you can hold it, you can smell it. I mean, I produce videos on YouTube, but I still really like, it's like when you get that magazine and it smells all new. It's not quite like a new 4-wheeler, but it's like you have something tangible in your hands that you can enjoy. And so there's my 5. What do you got? Shoot me down.
So
Hurry.
what do I got? And no random order here. But let's just start with number one. Everybody needs to put an awesome front bumper on their machine. Everybody does. There's multiple different companies out there that make different decorative bumpers. Some are good for use in busting through terrain or maybe bumping your competition out of the way. Others just look great. We sell the only chrome steel bumper in the industry. You can check that out on the website. Also great for stocking stuffers or gifts. You can do, this is number two, block off plates and case savers. Multiple different companies make multiple different versions and in many different colors. Spruce up that machine, make it, nice. And, you're getting rid of that bulky emergency brake. You can take that off, or you can put that nice, shiny new red, blue, black, silver case saver on there to make your machine, give it a little bling, little pop. Maybe your girlfriend will like it a little bit more and let you go ride it. Maybe not, but at least it'll look cool. My number 4 is, I'll get back to number 3 because that's the big one.
I was going to say, I don't think you're ready for number 4.
We're going to go to number 4 because you always need to have great traction when you go out riding. So you got to get your GBC tires, whether you're racing motocross, cross country, off-road, desert, GBC makes your tire. Hey, Joe, don't you do this thing with UTVs as well? GBC's got your tire for your UTV as well. So you can check them out and get tires for your loved one to make sure that they're safe and can always make it back from their rides.
They do. And one thing that we do a lot on the West Coast, Alan, who does a lot of our UTV testing out on the West Coast, it's like one of the first thing he does, if he gets into sport UTV.
Give Alan a real shout out. Okay, don't just Alan, because who knows Alan?
My personal friend and mentor, Alan Knowles from CT Racing, who builds bitch and race engines. How was that?
That was a little over the board, but okay. We love you, Al. Thank you for taking care of our buddy Joe.
But he, one of the first things he does when he gets a car in on the West Coast for testing is he'll take off the OEM tires and put on a set of GBCs, because he's got there's 2 or 3 tires he really likes on the West Coast, whether it's the Mongrel, TerraMaster. There's a few. So anyway, you can check some of those out in some of our videos. But yeah, GBC makes great tires for your sport quad. Hang on, let me turn this down. Video is starting.
I was trying to beat that, Joe.
Okay, I'm back. So yeah, GBC tires for your sport quad or your side-by-side. Yeah, they make a number of models that work really well.
And my number 5, and we'll get back to the 3 here in a second. My number 5 is you can always go to the leader in suspension, whether you're a recreational rider riding your KO, which I'm sure when Joe gets the specs over to Elka, they'll be building some shocks for it. You can go and buy entry-level stage 3s for your Raptor 700 or any of your other performance quads, or you can jump up into the stage 4s or the stage 5s. They make a shock for everything. They even make shocks for your UTVs. So go check out Elka. I know it's a little higher upgrade, a little more expensive of a gift, but there again, you want your family members safe and on a shock that's going to give them the best ride. Whether it be your wife, your girlfriend, when you send them out for that first ride of the year in January, you want to make sure that they're comfortable. And this is one way to do that. You better have gotten your order in weeks ago if you're going to buy some shocks, because Elka is extremely busy and hard to fill orders. So that's 4 out of my top 5. And I know that 2 of them were sponsors, and I didn't pick them because they were sponsors, but these are products that you need to spruce up your sport ATVs.
Hey, and even if you didn't get your order, and some people just getting money for Christmas, and new shocks are always nice. I'm a big fan of the stage 4s because you get compression and rebound. I don't really like to give either up, and they're a little less expensive than the stage 5s, which are dual speed compression. But we had stage 4s on that recent Sportsman 1000 project that we did, and my gosh, what an incredible transformation for that machine. It is so much more capable as far as putting speed in the woods with just changing those shocks. So yes, if you didn't buy Elkas for somebody for Christmas, or no one buys them for you, that's you can always order after the first of the year with your Christmas money.
There you go. Good. Way to chime in there, Joe. So
I like shocks. Shocks are about the biggest change you can make on your ATV.
exactly, and it changes the ride, the handling, gets rid of those blisters from the stock shocks that don't work right. Number three for me, it's all about the love of the sport. It's all about taking care of the individuals, your family, your friends, and directing them correctly. So you need to. There is a free gift involved in this. You can subscribe to UTV on demand, ATV on demand, or ATV-TALK on YouTube for free for your loved ones. And this is a free gift that'll last for many, many years. And they can watch our videos, get informed about all the different things that are coming in the industry. Also, not free is the Dirt Wheel subscription that Joe brought up. But that's also giving them a hardback or a paperback machine, a book that they could read for years and save.
And what really, because I was talking to Jeff the other day from Dirt Wheels. I was tormenting him. It's fun. We talk quite often. And I was kind of just jabbing him about talking to him about getting a Dirt Wheel subscription. I won't go into the inside joke. That's between me and him. But it was a little inappropriate. But he pointed out to me, like, because I said, yeah, 1995. And he said, well, subscriptions are about $25 now. It's like, okay. But if you subscribe and spend $25 to get a subscription, they give you a $25 gift certificate to Rocky Mountain ATV. So it's almost like for free, because you're going to get $25 back. You can go spin at Rocky Mountain ATV. And so it's perfect.
And Rocky Mountain ATV has a deep line of some of your cheaper product.
Well, they've got
parts, things like that. You can get OEM parts. They just have a huge assortment of things that you can get. So going to Rocky Mountain ATV is not a bad thing at all.
Oh yeah, I mean, they've got their own in-house brands like Tusk and stuff that are pretty affordable, and some guys are having pretty good luck with those. Like some of it's not bad quality at all. But yeah, they also have OEM parts and higher end ticket items, like, so Rocky Mountain has everything. We shop with them. It's just convenient. It shows up like the next day.
Yeah, I do too. I buy stuff from them as well if I'm in a crunch for a part, and I know that they have it in stock and it's going to be there in a day, maybe 2 days. I'll order it. And free plug for Rocky Mountain ATV. I know that they have their own publication and they do a lot of their own stuff. But that's our show for 2023. Joe, I hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know that we will talk off air many times before we have another show, but make sure you enjoy the holidays and stay safe and enjoy your Raptor 700.
Hey, you too, buddy. And happy Hanukkah for those who are, been celebrating that. Merry Christmas. We don't, we're not politically correct at ATV on Demand. We still celebrate Christ. So
there, amen.
Here.
Got to take care of that. So everybody, make sure you have a very Merry Christmas. And you notice I didn't say holiday season. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We love you all. Thank you so much for listening and watching and helping us grow. And if you have anything that you need us to talk about, we'll be back in January. Thank you so much. Have a great one. See you later, Joe.
Have a good day, buddy. See ya.
Bye-bye.